kind of peaceful, wasn't it? I thought I'd let you just enjoy a little bit of the background there before I got started. Plus, I had to run inside real quick and shut the door and things. Oh, now see, you'd have thought I had this all sorted out before I got online. And of course, I wouldn't say of course, I didn't. Details, man. The struggle to do this YouTube thing is real. If only somebody would give me my own video crew. Make it all so much easier. Shalom, David Campbell. I saw a comment by you today on one of my videos. And Kenneth Lachlan, hello, and Mrs. Hermit Hill. Hi, Sister Kate, all, and Tony and Melissa. Shalom. Shalom, brother and sister. Yeah, shalom, everyone. Do y'all know that when you're saying shalom to everyone, you're saying peace? You're saying peace to everyone. I think that's cool. And not like peace, but like the peace that the Father gives us. Look at that. I'm in shadow, but I wanted you to see the background. I'm just going to leave it that way. If I'm in too dark for y'all, just let me know and I'll try to spin everything around. But this way, you've got a really nice background. Yodel and shalom all. What does your yodel sound like? Are you a Lehi Who guy or are you some other kind of yodel guy? Here we go. Let me, that's a little bit better. I can lean back and try to look a little bit organized. Evidence not seen is, I mean, that opens us up to a lot of different topics. It's all good. Thank you so much. But it is this book, and I had recommended it in another live stream, and I finished reading it. It's a really good tale about this lady, and she was a missionary in New Guinea, and then the Second World War broke out, and she became a POW of the Japanese. And I'm not going to go through all the details of the book because it's just really good, so if you're at all interested, I suggest you buy it. I did. It wasn't super expensive. Or go to like a Wikipedia page and read about this lady, she and her husband. Really cool experience. But what I wanted to cover were some takeaway lessons from the book. Because being a POW can happen pretty much anytime, anywhere, if there's a war going on and you're in the war zone. So you could be in Africa right now and become a POW in the Sudan, or there were recent, I mean, there's POWs in Afghanistan and Syria, and same thing in Serbia and Bosnia when those wars broke out. So there's lessons learned there. And so I wrote them down. I want to go over them. And then after I'm covering that, of course, we'll open up to whatever y'all want to talk about. I did go through some news today and some politics and some tweets and all that. So I've got some things I can discuss. So these are what happened to her, sort of in a chronological timeline, sort of chronologically. But they are things we can expect if something goes wrong as well. You know, and I don't think we're going to have a civil war here. I think the looters and rioters, or cold weather's going to come and they're going to get tired of it and things are going to change and it's just not going to be a thing next year. But we can suppose, we can imagine that, you know, something big civil unrest happens, and so, you know, the looting and the rioting is now a big thing. So if you're captured by an opposition group, the first thing the Japanese, hey, Miss Lovely Dudley, good day. No, that's the wrong thing. Whip up a British accent real quick for me, Sister Kate. Hello, dear. How are you doing now? First thing that happened, the Japanese removed the men from this group, and they were missionaries and foreigners on an island. Not a whole lot of them. I think she said around 1,600, but they immediately removed the men. And so if you're counting on your husband, your father, your brother, or whatever, your neighbor to defend you, if you all get captured, first thing, remove the men. Second thing was all your possessions are going to be stolen, or her possessions were stolen. everything she had in the house she was living in, the Japanese absconded. I'm doing quite well, thank you. Afternoon, John Ray. We still want that grinder, by the way, John. When this pandemic thing is over, we will meet up with you and get that for the sorghum. I just want you to know that. Anyway, so her possessions were stolen next. They were, I forget what they call them, not repatriated, but, you know, the opposing force took everything she owned. It's got your name on it. Man, solid, brother. The third thing that happened was all their food was taken. So these missionaries had, you know, stores of food, jars of peanut butter, whatever they had canned, grown, and the Japanese took all of that to feed their army. That was the whole point of them capturing these foreigners, because New Guinea was, you know, not even, it belonged to, I think, the Dutch. So the Dutch colonies out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean are closer to the Japanese mainland than Holland is to Japan, so Japan invades their islands to take control of them. So the men are all taken to a separate prison camp. All their possessions are taken by the Japanese to support their army, things like shoes and clothes and blankets. They liberated, there you go, their goods. Their food was taken to feed the Japanese army, and the Japanese army, towards the end, Japan's a very small island, right? They were stealing food, the government was claiming food from the Japanese natives and starving them to death. I mean, it just happened. You keep taking food away from people and they can't get their own. They ended up starving to death from their own people, from old ladies and children and stuff, to support their army. That's pretty desperate times. So once the goods and everything were taken, then their actions were restricted. They were sort of prisoners in the house that they lived in, and then they couldn't walk outside of the yard. And that went for, you know, some months. They weren't really actively, I think they had maybe patrols that just made sure that they were there, and sometimes they came to the house, but it wasn't really a whole lot of interaction with the Japanese troops yet. So after their actions were restricted, then the inspections started, where troops would show up at their place and go all through their house looking for more things, maybe stuff they'd stashed, or if their garden was producing, they would take stuff out of the garden. Let me see your comment. Chasing Live, Shalom, sister. So great to see you. Always great to see you. Excited for a lively chat. How are you doing? How was your weekend? Weekend was super busy. Still very busy, but today we're kind of taking it easy. I was out mowing the mountain, as I called it. Mowing parts of the mountain where we have a particularly virulent weed that's just gotta go. It's starting to put seed out, and so I was mowing that this morning. That was my main thing. But now I'm talking about this book, Evidence Not Seen, the one about the missionary in New Guinea, and she is taken a prisoner of war of the Japanese. Hello, Sheepdog Patriot. Shalom. So I'm going over lessons learned from her experience with them. What could happen if you were captured by an opposing force? All right. So the inspections happened, and then they were moved. The Japanese came and took over the house that they'd been in. Oh, look at this guy. This guy's sitting here, right? I think it's one of those big sweat bee guys. Can you see it? Right there. Yeah. You gotta go bye-bye, guy. If you hang around here, I'm gonna smack you. So they took control of that house, and they moved them to a smaller house, and they put 7 people in a 2-bedroom house, and again restricted, said, you know, you can't leave the grounds. And that looked like a horsefly. Yeah, it was some kind of horsefly. So this restricted space they were in, it was one missionary, like reverend, and 6 women, including his wife and his grown daughter, and then this woman, because her husband had, no, it couldn't have been the husband, because he was already at the men's camp. Okay, well, it was the head missionary's wife and daughter, this lady, and like 3 or 4 other single missionary ladies, all in one house with 2 bedrooms. And surrounding them were was the jungle, and in the jungle were rabid dogs. So one of the things they had to be careful of if they went outside of the house was if they heard or saw a rabid dog around, they had to go back in the house. They were also guarded by a local tribesman who was guarding them for the Japanese, and so he like stood outside, or no, I think he was the gardener. He was the gardener, but he was also kind of keeping watch on them. Hey, Brittany Shot. Love you and your husband. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So, okay, the next thing I got on there was rape and beaten. Now, some of the ladies were raped and beaten by the Japanese, but it was not so much while they were in that house. But it definitely was once they were moved out of it into the POW camp. And beaten, she talks about the Japanese had like a cane. One of them had a cane, and he would just schwack like the back of their legs or the back of their backs. Sometimes he would have the soldiers give them the rifle butt, you know. They were, some of them pretty badly beaten, swollen faces and things like that. I talked about the rabid dogs. This was a danger to them while they were in that little house, and also at the prison because of where they were and the time. No one was getting rabies shots. So if you were bitten by a rabid dog, you were going to die of rabies. And one of the stories she tells is of a work detail of like 4 or 5 women out in the camp, and rabid dogs are surrounding them. And they have no way to defend themselves because the Japanese will not let them arm themselves. And so they're trying to keep these dogs at bay. And it became very apparent that they were soon going to be overtaken by this dog pack. And so one of the young women, who was big, she was like 6 foot tall and young, like 19, waded out into the dog pack and fought with them so the other 3 or 4 women in her party could run back to safety. She got rabies and died horribly from it like 3 days later. And it stuck in Darlene Rose's mind, that woman sacrificing herself for the other women with her. Greater love hath no man than he laid down his life for his friends. So that young woman sacrificed herself for other people. Amazing, amazing stuff. Okay, so some of the things they suffered with while they were in the prison camp are dysentery, which is just a horrible diarrhea, and it's usually caused by some sort of bacteria. Beriberi, which is a vitamin C deficiency, and malaria, which they got from the mosquitoes biting them. And malaria is I think, man, I don't even remember if it's a virus or a bacteria or like a parasite. But once it's in your system and in your liver and things, it just comes back every once in a while. Your system fights it down, or you treat it with some sort of medicine, and so it retreats, but it's never really gone. And you have malaria your whole life. And if you can imagine that, with the reduced diet that they had, because they actually had to farm food for themselves, for the Japanese soldiers who had them imprisoned. And the Japanese soldiers kept a big pen of pigs that they liked to eat. And so these prisoner of war women had to take care of those pigs and feed them and grow things for those pigs and protect them from the dogs. So it was pretty horrific. They were definitely tortured. Darlene was taken to the secret police camp because someone had smuggled in a letter to her about her husband who was at the men's camp, and it was found, and so she was turned over to the secret police. So she was moved from the prisoner of war camp to that camp and put in a cell that said right on the door, the people who are in the cell are going to die. And she was tortured by, and this is the way torture a lot of times happens. You've got the one person asking questions, and then you've got the other person who will beat you, or, pull your fingernails out, or pour water down your throat, when you're in a weird position, and so on. And that happened to her. And they were going to kill her. They had trumped up charges against her, and her camp. Do you see? Happens every time. Her camp commander, who she had talked to about Jesus, actually came there and intervened for her, and they ended up releasing her. So that was miraculous. And then the last thing that happened was the work. Arbeit macht frei. I may have to throw something at there, right? Am I close to Bear's house? Biddy Boo has the same problem. I think it's the time of day, but if he keeps it up, I'm going to have to throw something at him. He moved on me. Get out of here! Stop your fussing! Stinking. Oh, here comes it. You probably won't see it. There's a hummingbird right there going to the feeder. Anyway, a lot of times, I'll be right back. That's it, bud. What are you up to? You freaking crazy rooster. That's it. No. What? Yeah, get out here. That's right. You better run off. Don't make me. Oh, telling you what. Sorry that you had to see that side of homestead life, but at least I can take it 45 out and shoot him. Okay. Yeah, so if you get taken prisoner by an opposing force, one way, at least in World War II, that you would have been dealt with was to work you to death. The Axis powers didn't want to have to take care of a bunch of prisoners of war. They were fighting a war and they wanted to keep their resources for their army. And so the Bataan Death March that was the purpose of that. These POW camps were the purpose of that. Now the Allied POW camps weren't that way. The Allies were not trying to starve German prisoners and so on to death. I'm not saying they were babied, but it wasn't the same. This was a definite wartime treatment of their prisoners. Okay, one more time. Get out of here. Stop it. I don't have fun with you. That's the left. Oh. All right. I'm back. Chicken chasing. Bear the chicken painter. Scotty John said it seems effective. It was very effective to work people to death. You got work done and you didn't have to feed them. Whole point of my list, the whole point of me sharing this with you is because it's something you mentally may want to prepare yourself for. You're probably never going to have this happen. But just in case, at least go through the mental exercise of what would happen if somebody took all my belongings? What would happen if somebody moved me? What if I was told I couldn't leave a certain building? That you can't go outside of a certain area? And how would you escape? Because escape was the job of every military person who was captured. In her case, escape might not have been a great option because she's on an island. If she escapes, the local habitat is not very friendly to her, and it starts with those rabid dogs and the temperature and the mosquitoes, and the terrain she was in was very rough. She was also at altitude, so people who weren't used to altitude would get altitude sickness going to that part of New Guinea because they were on a mountain. And then you're in hostile territory. The way to escape would be somehow get off that island and get to a place that actually is friendly. And I was just reading on Instagram an article. A young man went for the last 5 years and interviewed a bunch of World War II veterans, and one of them was on the Philippines and was on the Bataan Death March, escaped on a rainy evening, cold evening, got to the ocean of the island of Bataan and then swam over to the island of Corregidor, where there were still Allied forces. But Corregidor fell not long after that, and he was taken POW. So, I mean, it's just something for you to think about. And that's where a daily carry would be really important until your captors find it and take it from you. And also knowing how to escape and evade and stay a low profile and be able to survive when you're in the really rough areas. All these things are important skills to have in this kind of situation. Oh, thank you for the recommend. All right, Moonlight. George Washington. Let's see. Westhold Forge, making them pump those bellows, no doubt. Thumbs up, folks. Hey, C103, shalom. Angela, I'll have to watch the beginning. I seem to have missed something important. We're talking about a book right here. Just came in, Working People to Death. Talking about a book written by a missionary captured by the Japanese in World War II. Going over some of the lessons she learned, or not so much lessons she learned, but things that she experienced so that we can learn lessons from it. But I don't want to just talk about her book the whole live stream. I talked about it for a good 20 minutes. So if you all have any questions, comments, I'm open for suggestions. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, and I have a question for y'all. What did... Chicken noodle soup sounds really good right now, right? Laugh out loud, we skaters are pretty tough. We can handle seeing you get real on the homestead. I enjoy it. Competing with a rooster. Bear uses a paintball gun for unruly. Yeah, but what if I miss and I get the car or something? Had my volume so loud I could work and listen, and my rooster started going off. Get him. Rooster for dinner. Rooster's coming, they hear talk, and it's 4 o'clock-ish, you know, it's the time when he has to go. Thumbs right up when I clocked off work. Aw. Nothing like homestead life. Okay. So, here's, this kind of reality isn't too far out of the realm of possibility in the near future. I imagine that people are going to see things that they could have never imagined seeing in their lifetimes. Well, that's kind of my point. Like, I personally don't think it's going to happen. We're a very large country, 330 million of us. It's going to be kind of hard to make the whole country be involved in any kind of big uproar. However, you know, local stuff could happen. The movie Tortured for Christ was one that really made me think. Howdy y'all, whiskey, Oscar. Oh, yeah. Whiskey for Oscar whiskey. Right. Okay. Yes. He's a subscriber on Instagram too. Good to see you. Welcome. Doesn't that rooster have chickens to keep happy? Well, he does, but he's not doing it. There was another missionary in our lifetime who got captured by Philippine, I think, Islamists, and her husband eventually died after, like, they were in custody for a year. And some of the people she was captured with were murdered right off the bat. And eventually, the Philippine Special Forces made a raid with American Special Forces help. And she was finally, after a year, was what do you call it, freed or whatever. But her husband was killed in the fight at the end. There are camps in China today, and they have a lot more population than in the U.S. But they have a different government, crazy Canuck. Anyone want 5 lands that I'm trying to get either my grandmother or aunt to take in? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. That's my amateur radio call sign. Okay. Okay. I'm wondering, what can the body of Christ do, if anything, nowadays? I pray daily and have raised and am raising children to respect their elders, keep your hands to yourself, etc. I think right now, especially if you're raising children, that's the main thing you can do. You are raising a future generation of adults who hopefully will not fall for all this nonsense. I can't tell you how many twidiots I saw on Twitter today tweeting things about our government and our president and what's going on who have zero knowledge about our government and how it actually works. Um, it's so many tweets based on fake news, making claims about things that just are not even in the realm of possibility. It's really disgusting. So some of the actions we recommend you take, pray is absolute. Try to find other people like you. Get prepared, right? Be ready should things get worse. Um, and get worse. You know, the election, everyone's now pinpointing the election time. If Biden gets elected, then the left is going to go nuts. And they are the ones fueling the rioting and the looting right now in their democratically run cities. And some of their tweets are just disgusting and violent, about killing the president, about killing Trump supporters, just really disrespectful. And so I saw one person, he was going to see a security guard of his, like he's some sort of personality. So he went to a BLM protest, I think it was in Texas, and he had a security person, and one of the Antifa guys was just getting way too close to the security person and put his fist up to the security guy's neck. So the security guy jumped on him and was yelling at him, and the security guy got arrested. So his main guy, like if I had a security guard, it's me. I go to the prison to visit him, and there were all these Antifa people outside, and they mobbed the guy. I forget what his name is, Straka or Strava, something like that. They mobbed him. They threw things at he and the people with him. They took somebody's phone and broke it. They were threatening him. They were chasing him 3 or 4 blocks. In a situation like that, you would need to be prepared to defend yourself, make sure you are safe from that mob. But also, like, what if the mob had grabbed one of that Strava person's party and started beating on them? I mean, I guess that, that kind of scenario could be real for some people who live in big cities. Okay. All right. RJ's a general class. Whiskey? 4? Great. It'll be nuts no matter who wins the election, right? If Trump wins, then the Antifa people could riot because of that. Thank you for your input. Like, when you're a family like that and you have children, you really can't do a whole lot other than raise your children. I don't think you should be the ones who try to form a group or, do your neighborhood watch or whatever, because your time is taken up being the parents. But if you're single, or you're married but you don't have children, or you're older like we are and you have free time, then I think you should start prepping, start meeting, set guidelines for your neighborhood, plans for, we're going to put, all our cars around our neighborhood so nobody can come over, and we're going to defend it, or whatever, Okay. That was the guy who started the walk away movement. Yes, Coastal 151. Right. Left has been extremely insightful. They sure have. That is just the thing with those forums. People hear dumb BS from other dumb and uninformed people, then spread it as truth and get all fired up about it. It's dangerous and it's ignorant. It absolutely is. And that's why I'm on Twitter. And my daughter tells me that's not the reason to be on Twitter, is to give other people garbage. But I mean, I can't stand it when I'm just, what I'm usually trying to do is find real news. But what'll come up on the feed will be these ridiculous statements. And I even think half the time I don't think it's a real person. Half the time I think it's some kind of bot or foreigner or something just saying stupid things, because stupid, ignorant people will read it and believe it. Okay. Dug about 50 pounds of potatoes for the food bank tomorrow. Awesome. I'm going to go pick up food. at a Farmers to Families box giveaway tomorrow. Farmers to Families is a program that President Trump started when the coronavirus started. And I think the federal government buys stuff from farmers and then boxes it and gives it away. And there's several locations around the country where they do it, and they were scheduled to do it to October 31st. But Trump announced recently they allotted another $1 billion to the program, so I'm sure it's going to go beyond. And I think it's mainly for people who are being economically challenged by having to stay home all the time and can't buy groceries. So I'm not going there because Pastor and I have to do that for our groceries. We can afford our groceries. I'm going there to get it for neighbors of mine that I know are having a hard time and handing them out. But it's a chance for me to get together with other believers who do need the food, and so I'm excited about that. Let me see what you guys are saying. Rose Dart has too many animals right now. Brandon Straka. That's it. That's him. That's right. Yeah. And the mob chased him just like they did Rand Paul. Throw stuff at him and everything. It's too bad that most people, especially those with big following social media presence, don't feel that it's important to act responsibly or consider the possible consequences of spreading untruths. Right. I mean, there are definitely people on YouTube, and it is a reality of being on YouTube, that you want to get more subscribers. More subscribers, a bigger audience means more ad money. So if you're trying to make money, the smart thing for you to do on YouTube is to do videos that get the most views. And you know that there are, I mean, you just can't, some of the stupidest videos, guys standing on a 90-foot tower throwing a refrigerator off onto a trampoline gets millions and millions of views. Those young men who are doing those things, millions of views like that, that's $10,000 or more a month. They don't have to work. Come on, it's easy money. So, people will do that just to get the views. They'll have, you know, a provocative photo. They will have a provocative title, and they are just trying to get the views. And it is irresponsible, but it's also your responsibility as an American citizen, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. You are supposed to be educated enough yourself that if you go to the website and watch the video and you hear lies or mistruths or disinformation, that you can detect them yourself and be like, thumbs down, or I'm just not going to watch it. I'm not coming back. That's what I do. If the person is not really putting out useful information, I'm not going to go back and watch any other videos they do, because I'm looking for helpful, useful facts for people in general. That's what I really want. And that's also why I'm not willing to do more to make this channel grow, just because. You know what I mean? Like, the videos I shoot, even the funny ones, are just my comedy. I'm not doing them because I think they're going to go viral and get 1 million views. But you guys know that. You know that. So it's true. So I do have a question. A lot of you guys have filled out the polls. What we have going on here is trying to figure out what you all want to be called. Subscribers on my channel. Not what I want to be called, what you want to be called. And it's a way for us to feel more like community online. That's why Bear's got, you know, the Bear Nation, and my husband's channel is Viking, so you're a part of the Viking group. I thought my daughter had such a cute thing for her channel, but she's just not very, you know, into her channel, because she was the neo-hermitess. She was calling her followers hermits, and I just thought that was the cutest thing. So my idea was skaters, because Sister Kate put them together. Skate, right? Skater. I think it was Gardner67 said that her husband Scott came up with Kate's kind. Like, you're one of my kind. right? So you're Kate's kind. And I thought that was kind of cute. So that was one of the options on the poll. And then Lone Star Living Channel came up with Kate's Crew, which I thought was kind of cute. It's got that, onomatopoeia or alliteration to it. And then for Kate's Crew or Kate's Kind, I was thinking we would just abbreviate it to 2K. Like Y2K was the year 2000, and it was the short abbreviation form for that whole computer disaster that was possibly going to happen, and all the programmers had to reprogram the computers for that. So I thought we'd just abbreviate it so you guys would be 2Ks. But there was one other suggestion that I thought was kind of cute, and it was Shofar Skater Original. I think that's what that person came up with. Shofar Caters Original, maybe. Anyway, I put it on the poll. Please go to the community page on my YouTube channel and vote there for what you would like to hear me say. Like when I open it up, I have said saints, hello saints, but not everybody is strongly identifying by their religion, so I'm not being inclusive to everyone who watches the channel. So I'd like to come up with something, and I can still have saints in there, but like I can call you 2Ks, I can call you skates, I can whatever. So you guys decide that. Some of the combos with my daughters about Trump truth have been interesting. Me too. Our food bank gets thousands of boxes of weeks of fruit and vegetables and thousands of milk, butter, cheese, yogurt. Exactly. Yeah, they have dairy boxes, and then they have like vegetable boxes. And the one vegetable box that we got, I think it had 3 green peppers, a couple of onions, and I could use the onions. The apples, they gave a bag of apples. They were good too. I still have them in there. I'm going to end up making applesauce with them. With apples from the garden here, from that poor tree whose leaves all died. I picked all those apples today. They're really small, but they taste pretty good. They're a Fuji. And then with apples I got from our house up at High Prairie Acres. And there we have Fuji up there, I think Macintosh, and some green ones that might be Granny Smith, or they might just be unripe Yellow Delicious. But I brought some of them down, and I'm going to make applesauce with all of them. Let's see. Our All Farm to Family program. Yeah, it's a good program. Like, you should check in your area, even if maybe you don't need it. Maybe you know some people in your area, older folks who are on limited incomes, or people whose jobs have been put on hold, that you could get these boxes for those people. Because I just hand them out free. You don't have to pay anything for them. I grocery shop for a bunch of people today. There was almost no meat in Roanoke, Virginia, Kroger's. Wow. I don't think they give out meat in the farm to family, but they do dairy. Amelia, one side is going to be very disappointed, and who knows what kind of acting out we'll see, especially. Right. Old man and Yah Steve Wilson. Yep. Shalom. Giant mirrored fishbowl. Let's get a whole lot of meat and fruit canned up. We can listen while we work. Let's move it. That's right. Skaters guy. You have to decide. You have to pick one of them. Kate's Crew. Skaters. According to Skate. I mean, if I decided to do like t-shirts and stuff, I think it's kind of gimmicky, but I also think it would be really cool to do a live stream like this and you guys be wearing the t-shirt, because it makes us all, you're not all coming to visit here tomorrow, but we can feel like community through that kind of thing. And so picture it on the t-shirt, like Kate's Kind or Skater. And if you guys pick Skater, I think I will try to get a picture of some kind of Vans like tennis shoes, because that's what skaters used to wear, or probably still wear. Vans tennis shoes were made for skateboarding, and I've had several pair. So, I mean, and then if we did either Kate's Crew or Kate's Kind, then it would probably be 2K and then something else on there. Probably like chickens or goats or I don't know, a menorah, something like that. So you can call everyone mate and matey. I'm late. Hi from Minnesota. Deborah L., welcome. Go for the pirate sound with Kate's mates. I'm not so excited with that. Apple cider vinegar with the apple peels, exactly. Todd Nog, according to Kate. The world according to Kate. That's a little too. I don't want to. I don't want to sound like that. Like I know everything because I don't. Laugh out loud. I tried. You did. I'm not sassing. T-shirts would be spectacular. It's a feeling, community, tribe. It would be really cool, sis. Yeah, I think it would too. I don't have a fear, but I'm reluctant because I really want it to be right. And if I don't think it's right, I would feel bad about, you know, saying, here, this thing only costs whatever, and please buy this thing if I didn't just love it. So that's why I'm trying to, you know, trying to form this rose dark. I live in the Ozarks. Have you noticed by you that the nut trees have very little on them? I think they're taking a Sabbath year rest. Your apples being small made me think of it. Actually, Rose Dart, last year our oaks took an acorn break. This year they're dropping acorns right and left. I have not checked my black walnut yet, but my neighbor's is getting walnuts on it. So it could just be, you know, our county, it could be our state, it could just be our area, but I am not noticing that yet. Okay. Just wait till it feels right. You'll know. Do bandanas with the saying, we can wear, please. Pamela Hyde. I like that idea. Do you guys like the t-shirt idea or the bandana? I like the bandana idea. Because we're all, you know, it can be your mask and you could be wearing it. And yeah, I like that idea a lot. But vote on the community page. Go vote for your favorite. Hey everyone, Lynn Wilkerson. Lynn Wilkerson, you have been commenting a lot on my videos lately. And thank you very much for that. Deborah likes the bandana idea too. Exactly. Okay, so what else do you guys want to talk about? How did you like today's video? I actually kind of liked it. Just because it got me thinking off in a different, look at this, it's like a pun in a different direction. To infinity and beyond. We could be bandana skaters. Sister Kate, we seem to have a lot of the same bandanas. Right? They're $1 at Walmart. If you've seen this pattern or color before, yeah. Yes. Bandanas would be pretty cool, multi-use and all. The only thing is that the name wouldn't be as visible. We would still know though. Right? I mean, I was actually picturing in my mind a way to fold it so that at least one of the, you know, skater or I might also put like Shofar Mountain in front of it, so it might just be an SM skater. So that way you know it's someone from the channel and not just any skater. They came out with some new styles this year. I picked up a few. I've got a lot. I really do. How about muscle shirts in neon colors so we can all be like 80s WWF wrestlers? Adorable idea. I don't think it would be very modest, first of all. And I do try to be modest in my clothes. And I also don't think it would be very attractive on me. So I'm going to have to disagree with you there, but I do appreciate the suggestion. You have really interesting content. I enjoy your videos, so thank you. Yikes, Angela said. Do solid colors. Solid color bandanas? But I kind of like all the little curlicues, but then, you know, the letters would have to be white for it to stand out. And I have to talk to my people about it. Muscle shirts require parachute pants. How many of us even know what parachute pants are or were? They were really adorable when I wore them, but not so much now. You don't want to show off your farmer's tan? You can see it right now, can't you? I can show off my muscles from mowing on the mountain. That's not bad for a woman who's almost 60. You should spell it in a unique way or in a unique font logo so that it can be distinguished from just any random skaters. Exactly. That's why I'm thinking put SM in front too for Shofar Mountain and then skater. And yeah, something a little bit unusual to catch the eye. And white letters. Like if it was here, white would really stand out. What do you think about Skynet? Right? I mean, that's where my thoughts started to go. Was, and somebody else posted that they thought he was going to get 20,000 satellites up there eventually. But what I read for the end of 2020 was that 1,584. And his rockets go up with 60 satellites. They showed a picture of them all packed end to end, and then the thing splits in half and they just deploy out into space. So that's a lot of satellites. And it's for this internet service. It's going to be called Spacelink. It's either going to be called Spacelink or Skylink, kind of like Earthlink, and it's going to be private. It's not going to be public. It's not going to be part of the internet. Your internet service is going to be something you pay for through this particular setup he's going for. And that's what made me think, what kind of content are they going to put on there? I mean, the internet to me has just about information on just about anything you want. Between Wikipedia, YouTube, what else am I trying to think? Like where all the news outlets, everything like that, Twitter. What could you possibly be putting up on there that you don't want in the public and that people would pay for? The Brits already have a system named Skynet. Oh my gosh. I'm off to do stuff. Thanks for the live stream. You're welcome. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for dinner last night. It was yummy. I think it's extremely interesting, but may not be good for us. People are freaked on vaccines lately. Keeper, that's priceless. We actually saw some members only jackets on sale. I don't remember where. This might be your big chance, your time to shine in your members only gear. I saw members only gear on a movie recently. Or I think it was a Saturday Night Live skit. Anyway, what kind of content would people pay for that Elon Musk is going to put out in an internet service? I'm thinking maybe business information, possibly more stuff about all these space rocket satellite stuff that he is doing. He also has GPS locating satellites, and they might all be the same thing. But GPS is, being used to such an extent that, like, if somebody wanted to zoom a satellite into my yard here, they can see the chickens and everything. You know what I'm saying? A bigger leash, on-demand data tracking, etc., right? Hola, hey, Tim Dunnigan. Good to see you on there, brother. How you doing? Did you get back safely? What do you know about Elon Musk and his SpaceX, if you know anything at all? Because that's kind of what I'm talking about right now. Weary, happy. Whoa, Skynet, right? I mean, Skynet in the movie was a big company, and then they created AI, and the AI took over. I don't know if Elon Musk is into AI. He seems to be really, really into the space stuff. You have friends who work at SpaceX. So the news said today that their goal for the end of 2020 is to have 1,584 satellites in space, and that he is going to have an internet provider. I think it's called Space Link, and it's going to be private. So if you have any information on that, if you've heard anything like that, it's surveillance, sure. Horrible what's happening in California. Hang on. I can't believe there are still believers who haven't left, right? California is another thing. Um, I'll just say a couple more things on Elon Musk, and then we'll go to the fires. He wants to colonize Mars. That's one of his goals. He's trying to figure out rockets and, machines and things that can go to Mars, and then people to go up there and colonize it. And excuse me, one of the things that would make sense to me if you were going to do something like that is trying to mine for valuable material, metals, minerals. And then somebody else commented on that video today that I think it might have been Trump said it's fine to commercialize space. And, it's not up to Trump to say that. I mean, any country that made a rocket and sent it up to Mars is basically going to be able to claim Mars when they get up there. But if you think about the fighting, the politics, the Chinese are going into Africa, Americans are in Africa, Brits are in Africa, the Dutch have been in Africa. Africa is a very mineral wealthy nation. And so there's been fighting and rebellions and government changes in Africa just so people can get their little toehold into mining there and bringing out the gold and the diamonds and the titanium and whatever else is there. Imagine being able to go to space and mine, right? And what sort of minerals and things are you going to find up there? Well, all these International Space Station trips and our trip to the moon and everything, when they take those samples like the Mars rover, scientists are finding out what is in large supply, at least on the planets we visited. If you were, let's just say, I'm just saying, if Mars is made of copper, and I don't think it is, I think it's rusty and so it's iron or something up there. If you could get SpaceX to send your guys up there with, one of his bubbles that they can actually live in, and you could mine copper off of Mars, why wouldn't you? You wouldn't have to fight down here. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's a long way away. But the amounts you could get compared to what you can get here, and the rules and regulations up there versus what there are here, it's a world of difference. I can see people really getting excited about that. And about things we don't know yet. There could be metals and minerals up there that we've never seen before, that scientists could experiment with, that companies like SpaceX could find out. Maybe they find a mineral or something that they can make time travel available, or make some sort of elevator up there that they can do an elevator down here and they can just zip guys back and forth really fast. I mean, you know what I mean? Science fiction becomes reality, basically, if space travel like that is successful. All right, let me see what you guys have said. Okay. Toddler chasing time. All right. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Tying the new quantum computing system, which would then have a direct line of sight connection to everything. Good. Elon is putting microchips in pig brains now, according to news stories. Yeah, I read something about that, but I think it was, someone said research for spinal repair, spinal damage repair. And spinal damage repair is linked with computing because they're using virtual reality for people with spinal problems who see their feet moving and their spine starts making new connections to start their legs moving again. So I'm sure he's involved in that. Okay, the vaccination situation is getting closer every day. MA has mandated that all children get the influenza vaccine. Massachusetts, even if they do not physically go to school, setting up for a coronavirus vaccination. The advancement in AI is really moving along, though. It is, and it's kind of scary. And that series on Netflix, Black Mirror, has a really good little vignette on that. Mesh Communications Network, yes. Named Starlink. Yes. Private. Yes. Right? So why would it be private, Tim? I'd like to know your opinion on that. Why do they want it private? What information are they going to be sharing there that they don't want on the public eye? I think it's probably space engineer kind of stuff related, but I don't know. And I'm asking for you to just guess. I'm not saying you have to know. My daughter's obsessed. She wants to go to Mars and develop life. She's studying to become an astrobiologist. Well, there's worse things for her to study. I think that would be pretty interesting. Artificial intelligence is here. Quantum computing is here. We've just moved down the food chain several notches. Right? I mean, I totally get that. Because AI doesn't have to eat, and we have to eat. We're limited. We're chained. The other thing about the artificial intelligence, the last articles I read, which was a while ago, said that some of these artificial intelligences that had been created had started talking to each other and created their own language. And were communicating with that language. I mean, come on. Aren't they mining asteroids or meteors right now? Tanzanite. Very pretty gemstone. I don't know about that. I know there was a movie with Bruce Willis about that, but I don't know that anyone's actually done that. If the nation states don't claim Mars, the corporate states will. Or they'll get up there and fight about it, right? They've also updated forms and procedures for religious exemptions, Arizona as well. Parents must take online course on the dangers of that choice before submitting the exempt. So, I would think, as long as we still have a First Amendment, that you could do a religious exemption if the vaccine had something in it that, like for us, had pork in it, we could say, no, we're not doing that. I think it would be harder to prove, depending on your religion, because the Bible doesn't say in there, I don't think, now you guys can correct me, don't take a vaccine. I don't think the Bible says that. I don't think the Bible addresses it at all. And again, I'm not against vaccines. I have been vaccinated many, many times. I have been vaccinated for yellow fever, for typhus, for cholera, for rabies, for tetanus. And guess what? I've not gotten any of those things, nor did I want to. I've gotten tetanus shots like every 2 years in my life since I reached like adulthood, because I was constantly cutting myself on dangerous things, barbed wire and tin roofs and all kinds of stuff. I am not an anti-vaxxer, but I also know I would like a vaccine not to cause a terrible reaction in people and to actually do what it's supposed to do. So, let's see. How would they get it back, though? They'd have to fly it back, right? The big prize is helium-3 and helium-4, which are huge sources of energy. See? So I can see a private Starlink containing a lot of information about that they don't want everybody and his brother knowing. Like how they're getting up there, how they're mining it, and how they're bringing it back, because they want to be the first guys and make the money off of it, right? I mean, I can see that. Mass accelerator, right? Hello, Brenda Smith. Shalom. The last 2 procedures I went in for I had to assertively refuse to have a chip implanted. Startled me greatly. Watching you as I drink my evening coffee. Evening coffee? How do you get to go to sleep then, Brenda? Isn't that going to keep you awake? Heck, there's a private internet here. There is Patreon, right? And actually, YouTube sent me an email recently that said I have enough subscribers that I can do a membership here on YouTube. And I thought about it for a little while, and I talked to Pastor about it, and he said that Patreon support takes a lot less of a chunk out of it than YouTube would. And I thought, okay, if I were to do a Patreon, then it would make more sense for me to do it through them and get a larger chunk of what people wanted to support me with than giving 30% of it to Google, which is a huge corporation. Not really my cup of tea. All right. There's private internet. We're just not part of the club. And there's the deep state. Someone hasn't clicked the like button yet. Fetal tissue. Yeah, like if fetal tissue was in the vaccination, no, we'd have to say no to that. Formaldehyde, no, not interested in that. But if you told me, it's like a plant-based vaccine made from the willow tree, and it, definitely kicks corona in the butt without destroying my immune system or affecting my organs, I might say yes to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, vaccines generally were started to help people, not hurt them. It's just when they become property of a huge corporation that's trying to make money off them that they don't care anymore, right? But the doctors who do the research and some of the guys who were trying to figure out the influenza went and caught it. Is it influenza? I don't want to lie. I'm pretty sure it's influenza. Went and caught it and died from it trying to make a virus against it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, their vaccines started out as trying to help humanity. I can fall asleep even when I drink coffee in the evening. Well, bless you. This seems too soon and not enough trials for a CV vax. I agree, Lynn. I've said that. I would want to see if any after effects show up, so I wouldn't immediately take it unless, there was some sort of overwhelming evidence that it was going to be okay. We're going to claim religious exemption from the vaccine because it has pork cells in it and that special ingredient called lucerifix. As long as it doesn't have all kinds of weird mess in it. Bad Wabbit. Shalom, shalom. Interesting name. I wouldn't believe them. The only problem is they can lie to you. Well, you can also ask for the bottle. You can ask for the box the vaccine comes in if you're getting it from a doctor's office. I know people who asked for those things back in the 80s when there had been some reactions to some of the childhood vaccinations, and they wanted to make sure that the vaccine that their doctor was giving their child didn't have, formaldehyde and mercury and things like that in it. So they asked for the actual bottle. COVID isn't killing lots of people, just a virus. Right, it's not killing a large percentage of people yet. 182,000 out of 330 million is not a lot of people. I'm a long-term, long vision gal, and so I'm not convinced it's done yet. And one of the reports I read today was France and Spain have had a huge spike again. People get relaxed. They think everything's fine. They don't want the masks is annoying. They don't want to wash their hands 20 times a day. I've seen the memes where, people have the dinosaur skin, my hands after washing, 20 times a day. It's annoying. It is, but I'm long term. I'm not willing to say everything's great until at least next spring. Probably longer than that. Previously, none ya biz. That's what I thought. Your picture looked familiar. So why did you switch? You didn't like none ya biz? The wording has changed on site to request religious exemption forms as well. It is worded that child should be a member of a recognized church in order to claim exemption, which is new. I can believe a state would do that, though, Chasing Life, because you can get people who are a little out there, you know, claiming to be a member of some weird church and saying, I'm not going to get the vaccine, and just falsifying that information. So they're trying to make it more legitimate. I could see a state doing that because the state's going to be responsible. If they administer the vaccine to you or don't, and you get sick from COVID, and then you sue the state because the state didn't protect you, you know what I'm saying? Bad Wabbit, are you near any of this rioting and looting? Not kidding about the Lucifer. I will look it up later, David Campbell. Not right now. Lucifer. Don't know the long-term effects either. Could be a sleeper because someone else started using it. So what do you think about some of these stories surfacing about 500,000 Americans dead by January? I'm not sure if they're implying CB or something else. Lynn, I have not seen these stories. I've said it on other live streams. I've said it in other videos. The worst month for the influenza 1918 flu was October of 1918, and 200,000 people died in that month. Based on that, and that the population at that time was a tenth, I think, of what it is now. It was 30 million. Based on that, if we multiplied their really bad month to match our population, that would mean 2 million people dead in a month. I think it's a possibility, because it's a virus and it can mutate, that it could turn super deadly, and if we had 2 million people dead in a month, then we would be right parallel with the 1918 flu pandemic. Sounds like a dinosaur up there. So 500,000 cases by January would actually be less. It would be less infected. It would be less deadly than influenza was in 1918. So in my world, that could be a reality. Now, they also could be saying, you know, given the election and the riots and the looting and the this and that, maybe they're implying criminality and 500,000 people dead because, you know, Seattle or Chicago or DC or Atlanta just goes crazy and they burn the whole city or something, right? I'm a person who looks at it possibility versus probability. Probability meaning what is the likelihood that something like that would happen versus the possibility. Yeah, it's possible that could happen, but would it really happen, right? That's how I look at things. Okay, excuse me. Excuse me. The obvious thing is they're attempting to remove choice to get vaccination. Also very scared that it has been rushed, not well tested, trial, short, long-term effects not known. Excuse me. Well, and I think one reason they're going to rush it is because it's not something that they knew. Like, they're starting from ground zero. Literally, in January of this year, nobody knew about this virus. And in 9-8 months, you know, how many people worldwide have positive cases now? 6 million, or is that here? 6 million positive cases here worldwide. We're getting to 20 million cases. That's not 20 million deaths. That's 20 million infected people. But the reason they're rushing it is they want to try to get in front of it. They want to try to get people vaccinated so everybody doesn't have to worry about catching it. And they don't have to deal with that many infected people, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm saying that would be the medical reasoning behind trying to get it done so quickly. Survival prepping for normal people, and he said something along the lines of, okay, hang on, I've got to plug in my battery because my phone's going to run out of battery if I don't. You see how it is, you guys? Off-grid, this is not an easy thing to do. The things I go through for you. Oh my God. Okay. And he said something along the lines of, okay, I'm waiting for that 50 miles north of Seattle, but I saw a kid going down the street the other day wearing the black Antifa garb. Ugh. Dino hands, scale hands, or nurse's hands all the time. Yeah, it's no fun. What if it's made to cause half of us to doubt it was real and the others to fear it? Well, that's already happening, but I don't think the medical community is doing that. I think the media is doing that. I think politicians are doing that. I think politicians are jumping on this pandemic to try to get things they want done passed. Whether they're doing it, easy to see it, or if they're doing it not easy to see it. Dan Crenshaw from Texas, he's a congressman there, 2nd District, does really good Instagram posts on what the Democrats are trying to sneak through while this whole thing's going on, the election year and the pandemic. The little House HR 1, HR 2, HR 50, all these little legislations they're trying to get passed, and the public's not looking at them because the public's being led by the media over here. Look at the riots, look at the looting. So, and the reason I don't think the medical community is trying to scare anybody is because they're the ones who are actually having to deal with it. They're the ones who are having to go to work and be, head to toe covered in the personal protection equipment, having to wear the masks and the gloves and disinfect themselves and everything. And I also don't think people who know people who had it are trying to spread any disinformation, make anybody afraid or anything. One of my followers on Instagram, Naomi, her stepfather just died of corona, and it upset her whole life. Like, she had to find a babysitter for her animals and her kid. Like, her husband had to take care of her kid because she had to drive back to her mom's house and help her mom take care of the funeral and, insurance and medical bills and everything. And she said it's no joke. It's not a joke. It's really easy to speculate when you're somewhere where it's not in your area, it's not in your community, you're not touched by it directly. There's another person who comes on my live streams here. Her name is Lynch Slay, and she's on the Navajo reservation. And at the beginning, she was saying, oh no, we've got it under control. We've got this natural herb here, and we're handling it. And then she came on later ones and said, it's out of control. We need help out here. And then the last one she came on and said, Trump sent like National Guard units there and food down there and stuff, and had gotten some aid to the reservation. It's no joke. It's not a joke for people like that. So I think the social media, the regular news, and the politicians are definitely trying to get people either afraid of it, angry at it, or doubting it, because they can work their agenda when people are in that state. That's why I really try to be factual. Okay, that was a long, long explanation. Forgive me, I'm just going on and on. Okay. I hadn't clicked the like button. Shalom, there she is, Gardner67. Shalom. Okay. And the second wave hasn't hit yet. I was thinking civil or natural disaster also, right? I mean, there's an implied threat there, Lynn. Got my concealed carry permit the other day in the mail. Good job, Bad Wabbit. I had a CCP from up in that area too, and it took some hoop jumping through to get it. There have been less than 10,000 people die of COVID since it began, right? Are you trying to say of COVID only versus like I had a heart attack and COVID, I had high blood pressure and COVID, I had diabetes and COVID? Is that kind of what you're trying to say there, RJ? Okay, my doctor told me just last week, don't get the vaccine right away. Wait till it's been out for at least 6 months before getting it, right? Same thing, just to make sure. The struggle is real. They politicized the virus, sure. I like the Chauffeur Mountain video where you mimicked the congregation. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I am here, you may start now. Thank you, Wes. Thank you for giving me your permission. I think the mask was a test to see how many will comply. I know lots of people think that. I'm an EMT and I was a firefighter. And personal protective equipment was a big deal in both of those situations. We were told to wear that stuff around all kinds of victims, especially people bleeding, because there are, blood-borne illnesses that people can catch, and of course, Ebola, but there's other things, hepatitis and stuff. And so we were told always, wear your personal protective equipment around any of those situations. For a firefighter, it's a little more heavy duty because it's, the mask and the air and the gloves and the whole big outfit. But for medical people, it was like gloves and a mask if there's blood, and you needed all your skin covered. You didn't want any blood splashing on any part of your skin. And so when they say wear a mask because of this virus, it's making sense to me. Whether you think they're making you comply with something or not, it's making sense to me, because having been a firefighter and an EMT, we were also told to wear personal protective equipment. And there was a guy on here, Albo X, who has medical experience as well, and he said a mask will always help. No matter what you're up against, it's going to do some good. So that's my opinion. I can't force it on you. Okay. You are really good at projection. Okay. I think the mask was, okay. The pork, the pork. I had a stroke last week and went to the hospital. After 2 CAT scans and MRI and being admitted to the hospital, I walked home. They had put me in isolation and weren't even monitoring me because I refused the coronavirus test. Which hospital did you go to? Because every hospital's standard operating procedures are different. You are really good at projection. Still not sure what you're getting at. Next will be testing, then vaccines not properly testing. Well, the testing's happening right now. They're testing the vaccine on human volunteers right now. And you can find results online. That's not kosher. Right, no pork, exactly. And kosher, you've got it like that. Kosher, it has to be blessed by a rabbi. So a lot of things aren't kosher. But if you're trying to say biblically unclean, then right, gotcha, no pork. 40 out of 40 likes, y'all. Whoa! I should really be. And insurance companies are refusing to pay COVID associated, even if you're admitted, or for other things. If you're COVID positive, they are refusing to pay. Trump passed a law that said they couldn't do that. So I would talk to my insurance agency about that, because Trump said, no, you're not going to be allowed to refuse payment on COVID stuff. There have been less than 10,000 people dying since it began. Okay, RJ, you need to clarify that for me, because the CDC, Johns Hopkins University, the federal government are all reporting 182,000 cases, fatalities. So are you saying of just COVID, or are you saying 10,000 people total have had COVID and died from it? Because I think there's been more. If you caught it the first time, even if it's mild, the second time will be fatal. Well, there was a report online in the news of a young man who got it twice. And I think they were able to identify that there's at least 2 strains, and one of them is the strain in France and Spain that's really fast acting that, they're spiking with right now. And that is supposedly the one that Italy had and what came to America. He had one type and he had the symptoms, and then the second time he caught the milder kind and he was asymptomatic. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a fatal if you did get it a second time. And that's a real case. So we have to see. CDC reported it just a few days ago. I went to that. That was a fake news story. The CDC reports 182,000 from COVID only. The Ret had at least 2 comorbidities. That I would believe, but they still didn't say only 12,000. They said 182. I went to the CDC website and checked it myself. I started wearing masks in February because I had to go out and do stuff. Now it's only if necessary. I wear a mask whenever I'm in public. Not fit for sawdust. Whatever. Daily's medium politicians want us to believe. I don't believe that, RJ, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave the live stream if you keep pushing that point, because that's not what I believe, and I don't want you pushing that here. I believe it can be quite serious. Like I said, I have an Instagram follower. Her name is Naomi May, I think Sustainable. If you want to check, go to Instagram, go to her thing. Her stepfather just died of it. I think it is and can be very serious. It's a respiratory virus, just like influenza. Lots of people get influenza and they're fine, but about 30 to 60,000 Americans die of influenza every flu season. So it's not just a little thing. Okay, and that's the last time I'm going to say it. Death rate is low. Tests pick up recovered people as positive. The test rate, it's low anyway. Like Ebola's death rate is, I think, as high as 80%. Right now, even with the numbers that are being reported with 6 million people infected and 182,000 fatalities, that's only, I think, like a 0.1% death rate or something. It's not a huge death rate. I don't argue that. The danger from this virus is the transmissibility, the fact that people can carry it and be asymptomatic, and that we still don't have a cure. We don't even have a vaccine. And a vaccine is a preventative. A vaccine is not a cure. Just like we still don't have a cure for the common cold. We still don't have a cure for influenza. People still have to go through all the symptoms. So the reason I'm cautious is because I'm following a historic model with the influenza of 1918 that killed 50 million people worldwide. And I'm right now we're tracking kind of along the same parallel line as that influenza pandemic. That's why I'm not willing to make, blanket, I know this for a fact, statements about it, but I'm very cautious. I've got a buddy here in the Northwest Arkansas, pretty sick with it. He was a skeptic. I also have an Instagram person I follow called Fireman323. He's a wildland firefighter out in California. And he posted about some of the men on his crew that got it and who it killed. So, yeah, bye-bye. I don't think it's a joke, and I also am not willing to ignore it because it's affecting people that I have been in touch with. So I'm going to be cautious. That's just how I am. There's one thing I don't understand. I thought the common cold is a coronavirus. They can't vaccinate against it. How can they develop a vaccine for CB-19? The common cold is an influenza. It's a virus. They do have vaccinations for it, but the problem with a virus is it mutates. So it's very hard for the medical community to keep up with all the different mutations that these things are going through. And arguably, if they get a vaccine, what the vaccine's going to do is try to get your immune system strong enough so that corona can't just take you over and kill you. That's it in a very basic nutshell. Just like the influenza shots, the cold shots that you can get every season, they're trying to give you antibodies to fight the influenzas that are coming through. And they can, they can't test it until they can get it from a person who's had it. You can't just walk out here and say, oh, there's influenza right here on this tabletop. I'm going to get that. I'm going to test it. They don't know where it is. They've got to get it from people who have had it or have it right now, right? They have to do this research. And I've explained a lot of this before. Medical research is funded privately. It's not the federal government doing all this research. It's individual companies doing research, or university medical, what do you call it? Not students, but like Harvard has a public health group, and that group does research. And there are private companies that say, we're going to be a research company and we're going to look at influenza. Give us money, right? They get donations and grants. They get private money to fund doing the research. And if they don't come up with good conclusions, or they don't come up with, say, a vaccine, it's hard to keep getting money. So it's very difficult. Big subject change. How's fasting going? I will in a minute. I'll tell you in a minute, Lynn. It's very difficult to keep up with a virus that's mutating. But what companies that come up with vaccines are doing are trying to deal with influenza A and influenza B. They're two different strains of it. And what the corona vaccine would do is hopefully stimulate your immune system by giving you a weakened version or a dead version of it, so that you don't actually catch the full-blown disease, right? You don't get the full-blown corona. Maybe you get a little sick, or you don't get sick at all. And they're trying to do that, chasing this virus, because the virus has a 9-month head start on them, and they started from a dead stop and really a negative, because they didn't even know it was around. So the medical community is still trying to catch up to it, and that's why they're trying to get it done quickly. I'm not saying it's perfect. Certainly not. I'm just trying to explain to you the way I understand it. I'm afraid of COVID-19 every time I go out. I take every precaution possible. I went last week to the doctor and got my flu shot, my pneumonia shot. I wear a mask, goggles, and gloves. It is man-made. Patents are there to see. I have done research into that, Norm, and I would agree only. I don't think there are patents for it. I could not find anything online about Bill Gates or Fauci from Plandemic. That's all nonsense. That's fake. I cannot find one patent for a vaccine for corona in Bill Gates' name. Someone's going to patent a vaccine, because someone's going to come up with a successful vaccine, and if they do, they should be rewarded, because they're going to have to do a whole lot of work to get to it. And if you're the one who comes up with it, you deserve to have a patent for it. That's America. That's how America works. Okay, so I will change by subject, big subject change. How's the fasting going? We are on day 3. This is day 3, right? Woo! Lots of results to report. We're doing fine. Pastor and I are doing fine. We're eating 12 noon till 8 o'clock, and I have no idea if we've lost any weight, because it's only 3 days in. I feel fine. I've had a few hunger pains, but he and I have fasted before, so it's not a big trial for us. What? First, don't let the flies in, please, if you don't mind. And then go ahead if you want. You guys, there's going to be a shofar blowing. It's probably going to be loud, and dogs howling. Oh, lamb keeper, I'm so sorry to hear that. But if you live in Texas, you should be able to put your clothes out and they should dry in like half an hour. What are you doing, Pastor? Do you want to make a guest appearance?
No, I did.
Okay. Hummingbird at 11 o'clock. I just changed their water. I should show you this because I think this... I'm not showing you... This is my live stream. I'm doing this. Talk about the hummingbird. You? I should show you guys this right here because... Oh my gosh, battery power 13%. I'm gonna have to get offline soon, guys. If you want us to talk about a subject, you're gonna, because I guess the battery didn't have enough either. Hummingbird water, they want it to be red, right? Well, I did an experiment. I don't do my hummingbird water red. I do it clear because the hummingbirds know this is their feeder. But the sun shines on it and it gets all milky and they won't drink it. So what I did is I cut a piece of Ritz cracker box so that it looks red, but it also shades it from getting too much direct sunlight and it keeps it cooler, and they like it. So that's my hummingbird thing. Well, I thought that was pretty smart, actually. I think we got some hummingbird rules that these people want to tell everybody, oh, you have to have distilled water and all this. No, you don't. Hummingbirds don't care. They don't know. Anyway. Apologies, Sister Kate and Skaters. I dipped for a moment to grab missing canning lids due to everything still in storage. I see there was an issue while I was gone. An unruly visitor. Don't worry about it. I got it too. You guys are moderators, but I can do things too, and we took care of it. I'm more cautious than I ever was before. I'm still cautious until, we see something like a break and a reduction in the cases. Wes S. is here. I'm sure it was handled and handled well. Good to see you, Wes. String your clothesline up. The lamp keeper. Yes, you have lost weight. You look great. Pastor's on a roll. Thank you? Question mark? I don't, like I said, we haven't weighed ourselves. It's only been 3 days. So, if I did lose some weight, great. And if not, I'm willing to give it a shot. It's not a really hard thing for us to do. This is like a drink with water, ice, just a little teeny bit of soda, little teeny bit of juice, and then about that much of 0-calorie water, flavored water. It's between our 12 and 8, so I can have stuff like that. Okay. My face looks thinner. Awesome. I hope it does. Almost as much as your fly swatter of death. Hey, someone said you set off his dogs too with your shofar.
They know the deal.
We're in North Carolina. Well, you still should be able to put your clothes out unless it's raining. The hummingbirds have been having a party since you started. Well, see, that's why I have this background for y'all. It's interactive. It's better than like a blank screen back there. And they're up there because I did change the water. They came in the morning and were fussing about it and refused to drink the stuff that had gotten milky because I'd put the cardboard on the wrong side like a ding-dong. All right, well, I guess off to Wally World to get a clothesline. Thanks for the nice visit. Well, see, you're being smart. I appreciate that. Be safe on your trip. You have quite a collection of wind chimes. Did you get those on your travels? Yes, one of them. I'm trying to remember which one of these guys. One of them my daughter made in a welding class. I got several of them for my husband. I like the, let's see if I can get this over here. See the one with the bells? Every time I go to a store, like an Indian clothes store, and they have those bells on a rope like that, I can't resist them. I love bells. So I bought those. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of them are gifts. And then the elephant one, which is right up here, I got at a thrift store, and I had to rebuild it. It was just the metal pieces. It didn't have any string with it. on another tack. Vitamin D and C are your best defense. I agree. I think I had read somewhere that in the winter, because you don't get a lot of vitamin D, your own resistance is lower and it's easier for you to catch a virus. So I would agree with that. I would say do have vitamin D and C in your daily take. Thank you, Wes. Hey, Vajaling, shaloha. Lamp keepers out. Toodles, can you have coffee in the mornings? David, yes you can. It's got to be black. You can't have all the frou-frou stuff in it. And someone we talked to about it was like, but I like my frou-frou coffee. Okay, then have your frou-frou coffee at noon, because you're allowed to eat starting at noon to 8, and you can eat regular food. So in the morning, have something else, like a unsweet green tea or a 0-calorie flavored water. And then when noon rolls around, man, hit that latte, cappuccino, half cap, full cream, whatever, coffee thing. I noticed it last week. You look fit. I think I look fit because I'm working hard, Gardener 67, and you don't see me, my hips and stuff like that. But today I was mowing weeds down and using my hook to cut more weeds down. So, I'm working pretty hard. My face looks thinner. Thank you. Better than the woodshed. The background, right? Try to be entertaining. I thought, can you guys see the sunflowers too? I have sunflowers back there. I was hoping you'd be able to see them. See if I can. It's kind of weird seeing it, from my angle, but I thought you guys might like that. Hey, Aid, what's up? Oh, the battery. Yeah, of course Aid shows up and Wes show up when I'm going to run out of battery. Run out of battery past them. Oh my goodness. Make sure. No, I should have battery. Maybe it's the cord. Maybe I need to go get a different cord. This thing said it was charging. All right. Let me see comments. Shalom, Nick Olak. Shalom. I like to duct tape wind chimes so they stay quiet. How are your bees, Wes? I didn't get to ask you. Black coffee is good. I have tea. I had Thai food tea this morning and Earl Grey yesterday. That is why dark-skinned folks suffer worse in northern climes. They need more sun. Okay. I just fast between meals. I fast from 10 to 6, right? So you can alter the hours too. Somebody else talked about, you could go like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. is your eating time, and you just fast the rest of the time. And fasting, you can still have stuff to drink, but it has to be 0-calorie stuff, like black coffee, like unsweetened tea, like the flavored waters. And for a lot of people like us, we sleep during part of that fast, so we're only not eating from like 8 until noon. So technically, wait, you can't have coffee while you fast? Okay, well, that's a game changer. I'm done. You can have black coffee. And you can have your frou-frou coffee in your eating hours. You never want to see my hips. I'm fit in the arms and torso, then skip down to the ankles and toes. Well, I have to walk a mile every day. Because I go down to the ducks, walk back, go down to the ducks at night, walk back. So... But I still, I'm not a young woman. I'm not trying to impress. Good. They are working overtime on cotton blossoms right now. Awesome. I've been dehydrating in my car since your video. How's that going for you? Is the dehydrating working? What have you dehydrated? Oh, more reality TV on the mountain. Might see some barking and some whatever. Good evening, Christine. All right, saying low battery again. So what I'm going to do real quick, y'all, is I'm going to go change this cord out. And I will be right back. Hopefully, we'll be able to take care of that. Hey, can bark, honey. It's in the background. Okay. Was there enough excitement in the background to keep you guys interested? Let's see. Should be either one, right? Newfangled tech gear. Alright. Okay, it's saying it's charging up. We'll see if that works any better. I was dehydrated. A couple of kids in the car once. The AC was broke. Aha. I've been making a good cool drink. It's peach flavored water, a bit of heavy cream, ice cubes, shake hard, yummy, low calories. Sounds yummy. Peaches are always good. Another water that was suggested was cucumber and lime. Put that in your water, or ginger and lemon. So you can have flavored waters, you know. Thick and cool. Yes, we are waiting to see the giant wood badger. You know, I can do another something for y'all who are city folk. I'll go show you the peace and the calm that's happening in the yard over here, because it's kind of cute, and I get to see it. Right over there. Right? Very pastoral. You've got the chickens, you got a goat, you got sunflowers. There's another chicken wandering through. There's a watermelon in the patch right back there. It's the only one we have. I use frozen water and mix it with regular water, and you can add lemon if you want it fancy. Exactly. That's what I've got in my cup. Frozen water, regular water, flavored water. Woo! Flavored juice. All right. I think Pastor may be going up to get mail or something. He doesn't normally drive the four-wheeler just for fun, unless I'm with him. And here he comes. May have heard something too. Okay. I do ginger, lime, and cucumber. It's good while water is really cold. It's refreshing. I need to do more of that, but I need to go get some cucumber. My cucumber plants didn't grow any cucumbers this year, and so I've got to buy mine. All right. Anybody else got anything else to talk about? Anybody want to talk about being a prisoner of war? Knowing someone who was a prisoner of war? Reading about a prisoner of war? Let me kill that mosquito. What else? Anybody seen any protests near you? Been to a protest? How's your gardens doing? I know people have been canning because they'll say it right there on the live stream. Oops, sorry. Give you guys a few minutes to think. And also please go to the poll on the channel and vote for a name for yourselves. It's saying low battery again. This thing's saying it's got 2 bars though. Maybe I've got to push it or something. There we go. Maybe that'll... No, it's saying green. Maybe that'll do it. The garden is winding down. The weather is changing here already. Where is there? Are you in like the northeast, the northwest? Our weather is not really changing yet, and I'm glad because I'm getting more tomatoes. 3 of my great aunties were in a Tenco, Sister Kate? What's a Tenco? Is that a store, or are you trying to say a tornado? Ohio. Yeah. I mean, it is September. Just read codename Johnny Walker. War makes everyone a prisoner. Wait a minute. Just read codename Johnny Walker. Okay, so it's a book. It's also saying low battery again. Hey, if I don't make this battery thing work, then it's going to die, and, well, you'll know that the live stream's over. Japanese POW camp for women. Oh my goodness. Really? I need to can some venison. 3 of my great aunties were in. Wow. Did they talk to you about it at all, Aid? Because this book that I read, this is how I started my live stream, is about a woman who went to one too. She was a missionary. Treated pretty badly. Lost tons of weight, got really sick. My garden's just about done. Just some fall tomatoes left. For good news, my niece had a beautiful baby boy, weighed 10 pounds. So many family deaths this year. Awesome. Congratulations. They burned one of the oldest churches in my city down. Oh my gosh. Our media didn't even cover it. One of my stopped by and was telling me, oh my gosh, that's awful. Lynn, I'm so sorry. Codename Johnny Walker's one of Christine Taylor's favorite books. Or is this one? Or the evidence not seen. Scotland is cold now. Harvest is in. Winter garden is growing well. Norm, awesome. What you got planted? The Japanese were horrible captors. The Japanese and the Nazis were definitely trying to just kill their prisoners of war. They weren't even attempting to keep anybody alive. They didn't want to take care of anybody. Evidence not seen. First time I ever read it. I was super impressed with it. Really something. Still saying low battery. See, I'm trying, you guys. It's not an scam on my part. I am trying very hard to get my phone charged up. So, if it dies on me, it's not because I wasn't trying. I had a granddaughter born on Wednesday. Aww. Congratulations. I won't go to any protests. I get so angry, so I don't participate in those. I don't blame you, Lynn. I think they're just trouble, no matter wherever. If you're just going to watch or not, they're just trouble. It had a profound effect on my life as a young married woman. Woo! Right? If I'd read it when I was a young married woman, it would have scared the snot out of me. And impressed me, too. Hey, Matthew. Shalom. Evening. You've missed most of the live stream, Matthew, so if you have a topic you want to talk about, now's the time to put it forth, because I'm getting a low battery thing from my phone, and even though I've got it on a battery, I don't know how much longer I'll be able to stay on. It may kick it. Last time it said it was at 7%. I have pumpkin and butternut squash planted. Pumpkin is so delicious. Butternut squashes too. Man, they are such good food. Nothing better than grandkids. In the grandchildren race, I've only got 4 and 1 expected coming in the February time frame. Gardens are finishing up here in West Virginia. Yeah, I still have potato plants alive. I have some Milo plants that I threw the chicken scratch out and they grew Milo. I've got some amaranth that just came up. Did I say 2 potato plants? I do have 2 potato plants. I have 4 Brussels sprouts that are still hanging in there that were under the butterfly netting. Cucumber, late cucumber that hasn't done a cucumber on it yet. and a lot of the passion fruit. The passion fruit is now ripe and it's dropping every day, and I've got a bunch. Pot of squash are maturing. My 16-month-old loves it. I've created 3 grandchildren. Awesome. I'm getting ready to plant my fall garden. Excellent. I've only got 1 grandchild, but I treat him like there are 3. Well, that's the way you do it. Spoil them rotten, send them home. That's the joy of being a grandmom. It's supposed to get cold tomorrow. Yes, I've heard it get cold in our area, and I'm ready. Because we have a lot of heavy-duty mowing and the chopping and the clearing of trees and stuff like that. And I also want to throw some kale seed out. And it's been too hot. I threw it out before and nothing came up. I also did some grass seed planting in an area that was recently cleared. And I have more grass seed to throw out. I've got red clover and we've got rye. All right. Anything else you guys want to discuss? Matthew, did you have any questions, comments? Cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kale, next year's onions, winter lettuce, and big Swedes. Awesome. I need to grow more cabbage. I liked having cabbage here. Even if it was little, I enjoyed it. Peppers, okra, and pumpkins are still going. Cucumbers are put up as 4 cases of bread and butter. Pickles and kosher dill. Yay, yum. Shalom, Sister Kay, and all my Hebrews. Mad Cal, you're coming in at the end, so if you have anything you want to talk about, now's the time to spit it out. Someone to play with my own age. He just turned 1. Going to be planting winter wheat and fall crops. Matthew, do you have a big piece of property, like you have a field you can do? Glad you are all here. It's been in the 70s here and 60s at night. Heat wave coming. 90s. Ugh. It was 88 here. Ugh. I'm ready for 70s. PJF is amazing and very well compartmentalized. I'm not sure how he does it. Training. He's got a lot of knowledge up here. And he was a military man for 20 years, so that's part of it. Let's see. My okra didn't stand a chance against the pill bugs. 1/5 of an acre plowable. Nice. Have you ever grown sorghum? I'm ready for the 50s and the 60s, right? I'm ready to not be sweating so bad I have to change my clothes twice a day. Freezing weather in Denver the next 2 nights, then it gets warm again. Well, it might stop riding if you have any rioters. I don't think they like hanging outside when it's freezing. Oh, wait, and you guys are having fires in Colorado too, right? Are any of you in California? Have you seen those fires? Oh my gosh. And they said one of them was started by some sort of explosive device that somebody used for their child reveal. I mean, how silly is that? Sweets are super high sugar and fiber, winter food for the apocalypse, and make good alcohol. Awesome. Can't argue with that. Going to be making roughly 30 gallons of apple butter and pumpkin butter for sale. Cool. I've never thought about doing pumpkin butter. I'm definitely going to do applesauce, and I think Pastor would like me to make apple butter as well. I just have to remember to do it while I'm in the process. Air quality bad in Denver. Snowing ash. Yeah, and I saw pictures online of, I guess, somewhere closer to that fire that showed the sky was kind of yellow, like the fires in Australia were earlier in the year. We live in Northeast Texas, ready for cooler weather. We just moved from California. A lot of family. I love apple butter. Really difficult time adjusting to this entirely different new climate and growing conditions, more so than expected. Wow. And you went from like Massachusetts to Arizona? Is that right? You went to Arizona? The whole state of California is on fire. It's not new. Our western states, Iowa, Idaho, California, Nevada, all of them at some time or another have had very big fires. So it's not new. If conditions are right, they happen. But it doesn't mean that the destruction is any less. And it's very dangerous. They had to evacuate over 200 people yesterday by military helicopter because the fires had grown again and like trapped people. So it's serious. California is going to be in a world of hurt from these fires. I made pear butter for the first time. Delicious. Yes, it is. Cooking chicken. We're hungry, you all. We're starting to talk about food. Cooking chicken, getting ready for Men's Group Monday. Well, say shalom to everybody for me. You and PJ are welcome to come visit when we make sorghum. Well, John, we got to get through this pandemic and all shutdowns in some time. I can't promise, though, without talking to him first. We've seen sorghum made here. It's really cool. Southern California ecosystem is designed to burn. Good evening, Grandma Ginger's farm. I made homemade strawberry Danish yeast. Girl, you're killing me. With fresh strawberries. It was so good. And it would be. Holy cow. I was looking for candy jars. I can buy jars with pickles inside cheaper than empty jars. Some jars, like for us, mayonnaise used to come in glass jars and they fit the canning lids. I'll be there, right? Grandma Ginger's farm. Somebody, so you just reminded me, somebody, might have been Linda Hipple, sent me a garden. It wasn't exactly netting. It was kind of like a garden blanket. And I remember when she told me she was going to send it, and then it didn't come, and it didn't come, and it didn't come, and it wound up having gone to the wrong address, and it finally showed up, and it looks really, I mean, it's a good size thing, and it said something like, you know, you can cover the plants with it, but the sunlight will still be able to get through. I haven't even opened it up because I'm almost terrified to use it, but it finally arrived. So whoever that was, thank you very much for that. And whoever sent me ginger, it might have been you, Grandma Ginger's farm. Might have been her, might have been Gardener 67. The ginger came up. I planted 2 of them, and they're actually coming up. So I'm really excited about that, too. Wes has got a very inverted sense of humor. Means he's kind of smart. It takes a lot of thought to think up some of the things he comes up with. Okay. Rest assured, I have issues. Quarts are $8 in Florida. 1 quart jar or a dozen? Yeah, here in Arizona, been $113 for a month now. Growing season starts here in 3 weeks. I know Arizona was like a huge retirement place for people to go, and they were super excited, and, you know, older people, so you don't have to deal with snow and all of that. But man, the temperatures, water, scarcity, no, man, I couldn't do it. I have to be outside. It has to be warm or cool enough for me to be outside, because this is my jam back here. This is what calms me down. Oh, and Chasing Life, have you emailed me that address for the Wednesday night tour women's group yet? Because I'm not great about checking my email, but if I know you sent it, then I will look for it. Because I was interested in that. Your poor wife. She's a smart woman, his wife. Amazing smells coming from your house. Demonstrating apple butter making at Heritage Farm and Museum in Huntington, West Virginia, October 10th during the Cast Iron Cook-Off event. Wow! That's amazing. That is so cool. Right on, Matthew. Yeah. That sounds like a hoot. Although, wear your mask and be socially distanced. Okay, I've been talking 2 hours, y'all. I got to get in there, and Pastor and I need to dinner. So I really appreciate you coming to the live streams. I love hearing from you. I will look at the polls and come up with some ideas. I'm really excited for all y'all and the gardening, and just if, you know, be careful in your areas, be cautious. Keep doing stuff on your own. Keep getting skills, all that stuff, okay? I'll be eating biscuits and gravy by the fire that day, Matthew. But you can send me some samples, right? Made lamb steak rare on mashed potatoes in my cast iron. Oh my God. Okay, so you're making me hungry. I gotta go. Bless you all. Shalom.